Welcome back to Scouse Farm. I want to start this little video I'm back in Prescott and I'm at Eaton Street Recreation Ground. And that's not why I'm going to do the video, but it's a nice little spot. So I'm going to walk you through this little bit of garden while I'm talking to you about a bit of the history of Prescott. And I've already done a video on Prescott, like a walkthrough, but I wanted to talk particularly about cables because it's very famous for the manufacture of cables, and it started as the British Insulated Wire Company by Joseph Atherton and his brother Jacob, and it was established in 1891, and they originally produced paper insulated power cables, which were basically the precursor to what you see today, which is the rubber insulated cables on plugs and whatever else. So it started off with paper, which I found a bit weird, but apparently that's what it was. And this would be all right in the summer, wouldn't it? With all these little gardens and flower beds. So we might come back for another look. But as it grew, other prominent figures joined as directors, including a Mr. T.P. Hewitt of the Lancashire Watch Company, which is another part of Prescott history, because they were a lot of watchmakers and clockmakers in Prescott, and they were internationally famed for high quality timepieces. And another person who's famous is Colonel Pilkington of St Helens, the man famous for the glass manufacturing, which was prominent in St Helens, which is not too far away. And we had also had a Sebastian Ferranti, who is a Scouser, a Liverpool born electrical engineer, who is often famed as being an absolute electrical genius. There's a lot of damage to these. I don't know if someone's ripped them up or they've just... someone's literally vandalizing these bushes. I don't think that's happened by wind. I don't know, I might be wrong. But anyway, the company obtained the rights to manufacture paper insulated cables under license from US patentees who invented the technology, and they were used predominantly for power distribution. And with the growth of the company, they started to do very well and employ a lot of people locally and started growing internationally. They also won the contract in 1892 to produce and install electric lights in Knowsley Hall, which is the seat of the Lord Derby family, and it was the local major landowner in the 1800s going into the 1900s. It then expanded into Prescott town and replaced all of the gas lamps with electric lighting. So it was one of the first, maybe even the first part of the UK to have the entire town lit by electric lighting, like you can see there on top of the footy ground, instead of gas lamps. Because for those younger viewers, before electric lighting, so when you see the street lights turn on in the middle of the night or as soon as it starts getting dark, that used to happen with gas. So they used to have lamp lighters who went round starting the lights off and then snuffing them out when the sun come up. It also expanded and became a multinational by absorbing other companies. So it became the British Insulated and Helsby Cables Limited in 1902, and then in 1925 it became the British Insulated Cables Limited because it absorbed a few more companies through mergers and acquisitions. And then it eventually became known as BICC, which is British Insulated Calendars Cables, and that was in 1945. It was the largest employer in Prescott of the 20th century. So if you lived in Prescott, it was highly likely that you had some sort of job that was related to the cables, and if not that, then probably the watchmaking and stuff. And it even had its own social clubs, it had its own fire brigade, it had its own interconnected rail system, and its own hospital with a full-time nursing staff. And as you can imagine, that is pretty much like what like a country would have. And this was the whole of Prescott, dominated by one industry. And then, like anything where you have all your eggs in one basket, if globalism strikes, which it did in the UK, pretty much after the Second World War, globalism went into turbocharge and a lot of our manufacturing industry just disappeared, ceased to exist. And I think it was in it lasted until about 1989. It started shutting down production, and by 1991 the main factory, which is now a shopping district, was completely shut down, and parts of the company were sold off to other companies and competitors both in the UK and overseas. And unfortunately BICC now ceases to exist, and the main site is what's known as the Cables Retail Park, which is like a Tesco and all sorts of other shops there, and also you've got housing developments around there, so it's been used to place a lot of new families in houses. But we've still got some remnants of the past, so that's pretty much the history of the cables themselves. But we've also got Atherton Street in Prescott, which leads into the town, and that's named after the brothers who started the company. And we've got also where I'm about to walk you to now, so that's why I'm filming in this area, we've got the Prescot Cables FC football club, which is the lights you can see there in the background. I'll take you to the front now. But yeah, they were renamed the Prescot Cables FC, the local Prescott Town football club, named after the industry. And a little fact about cables, for those who know about stocks and shares or who are interested in it, when people who work in that industry say what's cable at today, that means what is the exchange rate between the Great British Pound and the US dollar. Because there was, for those who don't know, a cable, a physical cable dragged under the Atlantic Ocean that connected the UK to the continent of America. And that physical cable was the project started in 1854 by the Atlantic Telegraph Company, and it was led by Cyrus Westfield, and he, well, or his workers, constructed and laid the first transatlantic telegraph cable under the Atlantic Ocean. And it started in 1854 at Valentia Island off the coast of Ireland, and it went to the Bay of Bulls in Newfoundland around modern day Canada. And the first ever communication between the two continents was a congratulatory letter from Queen Victoria, our queen at the time, to the United States President James Buchanan, and that was sent in 1858 when the whole project was completed. So they laid that cable under the Atlantic Ocean and they sent a message, and unfortunately within 3 weeks the thing had blew up because someone sent too high a voltage down the cable, and it just mashed the cable up. But that was at least a major development of modern technology, because the cables still exist today in different forms running under the Atlantic Ocean. I just didn't even know this was here, but we've got a little cadet house here for anyone who's in Prescott or the local area. If you want to get your kids out of the bedroom playing computer games, send them to the cadets. And I'm going to leave you outside the Cables football ground, since the video was about cables. But as with the watchmaking and other manufacturing industries, globalism put that to bed, and a lot of international groups and companies would be able to do it cheaper. Let's have a little look, see if I can get through here. And we have Prescot Cables FC, and I'm here a little bit earlier because I didn't know if they were playing football today. I didn't want to get in the way of the match traffic. That must be the logo. Let's see if I can see the pitch. Whoa, there we go. And that's where we are. So thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a great day in Scouse Farm. We'll see you all again soon.